Do you want to know how to calculate your restaurant food cost? You want to know why it's so important and what you need to do to make sure it's accurate? I'm going to share that with you in about 2 seconds. Hello, this is Dave Scott Peters, creator of the Restaurant Prosperity Formula, and I'm going to tell you food cost is one of the most important things you've got to calculate in your business because it's a major component to prime cost. If you don't know what prime cost is, make sure you search that video out on my channel. Now, here's the deal. You've set up a number that you need to hit with your budget. Now we need to measure. That which we measure improves. We need to know our actual food cost. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, most restaurants don't calculate their food cost properly. They take their purchases divided by their sales. That ain't your food cost, man. When you think about this, let's say I buy a ton of product and my sales are lower than forecast. So I've got all this food still on the shelf. I spent all this money. If I take my purchases divided by sales, I have a falsely high food cost. Well, the next month my sales jump up, but because I had so much food on the shelves, I buy very little. I don't need it. It's already on the shelf. Well, if these are my purchases divided by these high sales, I've got this falsely low food cost. So the only way to know your actual food cost is to follow the proper calculation, and it requires inventories. That's beginning inventory plus purchases minus ending gives me use divided by sales. That's your food cost percentage. Now look, you got to take inventories. The unfortunate reality is most of us don't. And the unfortunate reality is it's garbage in, garbage out. Many of you as restaurant owners and managers are using the wrong damn numbers. Remember that purchases divided by sales? If you use that, you're reaming your kitchen manager or chef for a high food cost, and it wasn't true. You may fire them. They may lose their job because you use the wrong frickin' numbers. Well, what if the numbers are wrong? Well, now the accuracy. It's garbage in, garbage out. Whether you use software, whether you have a spreadsheet, or whether you're using a calculator and a pencil and you're calculating your cost of goods sold, beginning inventory plus purchases minus ending, use divided by sales. If you're following that calculation properly, if you use the wrong damn numbers, then guess what? You've got bad numbers. So I'm going to go over 4 pieces that you've got to pay attention to make sure your number's accurate, that you're measuring properly. The first is updated prices. Every time a truck delivers food in your restaurant, update the prices, the cost, if you will, of what you pay for each of those items, because that will translate into all of your recipes, right? We need to make sure we have the right things, because why? What happens every invoice that comes in, every delivery? Your food costs go up. Something has gone up. There's a commodity, something where the price has gone up. So we need to be accurate. If we don't increase those prices, make those changes, then we have a falsely low food cost, and you wonder why you don't have money in the bank. Next are batch recipes. Any component you create in your kitchen, diced onions, celery, carrots, any item you make that is an ingredient in another item. So sauces, side dishes, soups, maybe desserts that you create. You took product you purchased, put it in a pot, created something new. I need to know the value of that, because I need to inventory it. Think about it this way. Let's say you take a filet and you butcher it, a tenderloin, and you butcher it up into fillets. Well, if I don't count those fillets because they've now been prepped, then that's high dollar, right? We think we used it. I have a falsely high food cost. So I need to calculate what the cost is of each one of those steaks and count them so that I don't show a higher usage. Now think about all the things you produce: soups, side dishes, sauces, desserts, dressings, components, anything that you prep. Well, if you don't count it, your food cost is going to look astronomically high, especially if you're counting it going into a weekend. So we need to make sure we look at our batch recipes. Next is shelf-to-sheet inventory. We need accurate inventories. What I don't want is an inventory with $30,000 in shredded cheese because somebody counted ounces and it had a case price. We need to set up our inventory systems in the product the way we see it on the shelves that we want it counted. An example might be in the reach-in freezer, McCain's potato wedges in the first position in a case with a case price. I count it by the case, I value it by the case. The same McCain's potato wedges are in the reach-in freezer in the 6th position in 5-pound bags. I count it by the 5-pound bag, I value it by the 5-pound bag. Then on the line, I open the drawer, it's loose by the ounce in the 2nd position, counted by the ounce, and next to it are batch recipes of 5 ounces of McCain's potato wedges. I count it by the each. By putting shelf-to-sheet inventory in place, I can have accurate inventories because I've updated my prices, I'm counting my batches, everything's in the order it appears on the shelf the way I want it counted. Now I don't have cooks doing math in their head. I didn't hire them to do math. Last but not least, let's talk about when we take our inventories. Most restaurants don't take inventories. Then the vast majority of us take monthly inventories. And the challenge with that is we have excuses. Why is your food cost high? Oh, we must have miscounted. You'll see the next month my food costs will drop low. We'll be right in line. Well, truth is, we get to that next month, the same mistakes are being made. We not only don't have an accurate number, but it's high. It keeps going higher, higher, higher. When I can measure weekly, and I find that my food cost is off $500, now chef can make a change. Maybe he or she could put out a special that is a high dollar, ring at the register, low food cost to pull that $500 back. So by the end of the month, we're back on budget and we're making the money we deserve. Look, if you ever wanted to know what the food cost calculation is in your restaurant, it is beginning inventory plus purchases minus ending gives me use divided by sales. That's your food cost, but it's only good if it's accurate.